just gonna lower the music a little bit. I mean, I hope you guys can hear the music. Let me see. Can you guys hear the music? Maybe you couldn't hear the music. Hold on, let me see. Let me stop sharing. You know what? Maybe you guys couldn't hear the music. No, I think you could. All right, there you go. Well, we're gonna get started. You know, I think I'm sharing the wrong screen. Oops. There you go. Now I'm sharing the right screen. Hi, how's everybody doing? Becky's there, thank God. We're gonna get started with our meeting. This is the youth meeting, and I hope that other people join. If they don't join, I guess it's fine. But I'm always excited to be here. I'm always like, I think this meeting energizes me, even though sometimes I'm very tired. And I hope you can hear me, Becky, because I'm connected and I have so many things going on. I see that the mic is picking up the sound of my voice, but you can never be sure with these things. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about today Ruth. The story of Ruth is a very wonderful, very encouraging, empowering. I'm gonna use the words that I'm learning in my doctoral program. A very empowering story, I think, for women. So last week we mentioned the topic of last week's Bible study was women in the Bible. And just to recap here very briefly, we were debating whether the Bible is oppressive towards women, whether the Bible is chauvinistic, that means machista, that means, you know, men are in control. So, and we read some Bible verses that are very controversial, and how that could be taken as, you know, the Bible is oppressive towards women. But then later the conversation changed, and we were looking at some of the contributions of women in Jesus' ministry. Then we mentioned some of the contributions of some women in the Bible. We mentioned how the Bible in Galatians 3:26 to 28, it mentions that now there's no male or female. So I don't think the Bible is oppressive towards women. I think the Bible puts women in a position higher than they used to be, like back in biblical times. So I think the Bible is not chauvinistic, it's not oppressive. We also mentioned that when we read the Bible, it's important to contextualize the Bible. That means that we read the whole scripture, not just one Bible verse, because we can take that out of context, and that could mean something different than what it was intended to mean. It's also important not to reject the Bible, but to contextualize it. So anyway, we talked about that. Becky's there. I see somebody who joined, and it says Yvette Siux. So I think that's Yvette. Anyway, so thank you for being here. We're gonna get started with our Bible study. Why don't we pray? I'm going to pray, and then towards the end, when you guys feel more comfortable, Becky, Yvette, then you guys can pray and you can share. All right, so let me pray. Father, we thank you, Lord, for this opportunity that you give us to study your word. Thank you for the youth that come to these meetings. Thank you for the youth that don't come to these meetings, but that are still following you, Lord. We pray for them. I don't know who's going to watch this, and whoever watches this, we pray, Lord, that they will be blessed and they will learn something new. All right, so let's get into the Bible. Into the Bible study. So the topic today is we're going to study the life of some women in the Bible, and that might take us a few weeks, even months, right? Because it's so interesting. So today we'll study the story of Ruth. By show of hands, by raising your hand on Zoom, you don't have to turn on your mic, you don't have to turn on your camera. By raising your hand, can you guys tell me if you ever read the story of Ruth in the Bible? Who has read the story of Ruth in the Bible? Oh, okay, Yvette wrote. All right, Yvette read the story of Ruth in the Bible. The story is actually pretty short. Thank you, Yvette. Thank you for participating. She's raising her hand. Thank you for participating. The story is actually really short. Anyway, if the music bothers you, let me know and I can turn it off. But anyway, I like to have some background music. I think that's helpful. So look, if you go to the Bible, you'll see that the story of Ruth is actually pretty short. There are only, I think, like 4 chapters. So this is chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. Then the next is Samuel. So the book of Ruth has only 4 chapters. So it's a pretty short story. I think you guys can read it in one day. I don't know how good you are at reading. I don't like reading, but I think we read it like in 2 days. Anyway, so look, this is the summary of Ruth. Let me see if I can zoom in. So chapter 1 speaks about his family, her family. It's like it's gonna set up the story. Then in chapter 2, we see her working in Boaz or Bo's field. Anyway, eventually she's gonna marry. So we're gonna study the story of Ruth, and like I said, even though it's pretty short, I found that it was very interesting. So I encourage you guys to read it if you've never read it. It's very short. Maybe you can take the whole week to read it. My advice would be, if you don't like to read, maybe read a few verses. For example, let me give you some ideas. For example, you guys could read on, let's say tomorrow is Thursday, you could read verses 1 through 3. That's it. You're done. It could take you less than 5 minutes. Then the next day you read the next section, verses 6 through 22. That's a little longer, but anyway, so you just like break it into small sections, and I think you can finish it, and it's a pretty good story. All right, so if you read it, I want you guys to participate. Today we're gonna try to cover sections. I'm a math teacher, so I always say sections. Today we're gonna cover chapters 1, verses 1 through 22. In the interest of time, we will not read the story verse by verse, but we will talk about what the story. Maybe we'll read some verses. We'll see how it goes. All right. But in the interest of time, we'll try to just comment on the things that we read. So here we go. The story of Ruth. Let's set up the backdrop of the story. So in the first verse, this is what it says. In the days when the judges ruled, marks the setting for the story. So this is how the story begins. In the days when the judges ruled. Now the next Bible verse that I want to refer to is Judges 21 to 25. This is the last verse in the book of Judges. It says, Israel had no king. Everyone did as they saw fit. So it was a time of chaos. There were no rulers in the land, so everybody did whatever they wanted. This is also when the story of Samuel, of Hannah, takes place. And in the story of Hannah, we see that there's a man with 2 women. So, there were crazy things going on around that time. So this is telling us that Israel's society and the spiritual life was a mess during the time of Ruth. The time of the judges was known for its cycle of disobedience, repentance, God's intervention, gratitude, and back to disobedience. So when you read, and we'll read it at some point, the book of Judges, we will see this cycle, this pattern. We'll see how Israel is serving the Lord. Let me see if I can I zoom in? Oh yeah, oh look, I can zoom in. Wow, I didn't know I could zoom in the PowerPoint, but oops. Sorry. Anyway, I can zoom in, so that's great. Anyway, so Israel is serving the Lord. Then they fall into sin. Oops. Into the sin of idolatry. Then they are enslaved. So there's other nations that come and they become slaves of those nations. Then Israel cries out for help. So they pray, Lord, rescue us, please help us. We messed up. We sin. Then the Lord would raise up a judge. And here is where we find the story of Samson, I forget right now, but other judges. So God would raise up judges, and there were some judges that were women. We'll study that in the future. And then Israel is delivered. So the judges were not like the judges in the Supreme Court. I like to use images. So the story. So when you read the book of Judges, it's not like a judge from the Supreme Court. You know, like this is what when we think about judges, we think about Judge Judy and all these people from in the court. Well, this is not how they look, how the judges were in biblical times. I think we could think more of them as like sheriffs in the Wild West. So they were more like this, these were the judges. They were more like, like controlling people, but they also use force. And so that's the kind of judges that that the Bible describes. All right. So anyway, so God would raise them, and then Israel will be delivered. And then guess what? A few years later, the judge will die, and then Israel would enter this cycle again. They would again serve the Lord for a few years. Then they will fall into sin. Then they will be enslaved. Then they would pray and cry to the Lord, repent. God will raise a judge, and then they would be delivered. So this happened for hundreds of years. So that's the story, the backdrop of the story of Ruth. Now, although the text does not say that the famine was a punishment from God, the mention of the days of Judges makes this connection possible. So in the story, let's see. Let me go here to Ruth 1 verse 1. It says, in the days when the judges ruled Israel, a severe famine. I think that's how you say it, right? If I'm saying it wrong, please correct me. A severe famine came upon the land. So it doesn't say that it was because they sinned, but we can, just make a connection there, and it's very possible that it was because of their sin that they were going through this famine in the land. All right, let's move on. Any questions, comments, concerns? No? All right, I'm going to turn on the chat if you guys want to participate on the chat too, all right? All right, now moving on. Now let's talk about when you guys read it. I'm assuming that you guys are going to read the book of Ruth. So let me give you some meaning behind the names. So what's in the name? All right, when you read in the Bible, when you read the story, the name Bethlehem means the house of bread. Leaving town and heading to the foreign land of Moab because of the famine, the house of bread is running out of bread. In Hebrew, the word bread and food is the same. So in the story we read, maybe I should read it, that a severe famine came upon the land. So a man from Bethlehem, I think that's how you say it, Bethlehem, from Judah left his home and went to the country of Moab. So we have the story during the time of the judges. There's problems. There's a famine, and this man from Bethlehem, and we just read that. Let me log in here so I can highlight. So Bethlehem means the house of bread. So the house of bread was running out of bread. It was ironic. Anyway, all right, let me keep reading here. I lost my PowerPoint. Oh, here we go. All right, so that's the meaning of the name Bethlehem. And by the way, let me ask you a question. What other important people from the Bible were born in Bethlehem? All right, I'm going to type the question on the chat. What other biblical characters were born in Bethlehem? Can you guys think of other biblical characters that were born on Bethlehem? I hope I'm saying it right, and if I'm saying it wrong, please correct me. What do you guys think? You can put it on the chat if you want. And if you can think, it's fine. You can just wait for somebody else to respond, or you can Google it. Why don't you just Google it? Biblical characters who were born in Bethlehem. That's fine too. You guys can do that. No problem.
Was it Jesus?
Jesus.
All right. Yes. Jesus, right? Jesus was born in Bethlehem. Who else? There's another one that comes to my mind. So, besides Jesus, can you guys think of other biblical characters?
David.
So there were at least two. Maybe there were more, but at least two that there are important. Is Jesus, of course, number one, And then David was also born here in Bethlehem. All right, so let's continue here. Now, let's talk a little more about the names. All right, the name of the character, one of the characters in the story is Naomi. Let me read it here from the Bible. It says the man's name was Elimelech. His wife was Naomi. All right, so we have the family Elimelech, Naomi. Their two sons were Malon or Mahalon. I'm not sure how to say it. Mahalon. Let's just say Mahalon, because in English you would pronounce the H, right? Mahlon, maybe. Mahlon. That sounds probably more like the way it should be. And then Kilion. So these are the characters in the story: Elimelech, Naomi, and the two sons. So let's go. Let's read into what their names mean. So the name Elimelech most likely means God is my king. All right, we're not 100% sure, but Bible scholars say that the name most likely means God is my king. In those times, one of the main functions of a king was to provide security and food for his people. A good king made sure his people did not suffer hunger. So anyway, so that's what the name meant. All right, let's look into the other names. The name of Naomi's sons were Mahalo or Malo, and this probably means sickly. And the other person's name, Kilion, means weakly. So I think that tells us what's gonna happen, right? If I name my child weakly or sickly, that's probably not a good. That's not good, right? I'm not gonna do that. So let's talk about this. What have you guys are women? So have you thought about the name that you guys are gonna give your children? Have you thought about that? And if so, can you tell us the name of your children? If and you know, right now we're talking about two men. But if you are thinking about women, that's fine. I'm just curious to know what is the name, if you already thought about it, that you're gonna give your children. I hope you guys don't name them sickly or weakly or Mahalo or some weird name like that.
Yes, I have thought about it.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I know sometimes you guys don't want to share. I promise you, I will not copy the name, okay? If it's like a good name, I'm not gonna copy. I promise you. Like, if you say it, then that's taken, and I'm not using it. And everybody has to promise. Yvette and Rebecca and Becky has to promise not to use the name. We're not gonna copy. All right. So this is all like just, I guess, for fun, right? And I want to know what you guys think. All right, go ahead, Becky. Go ahead, Richie's.
Well, I had heard the name Jedediah.
Let's say that again.
Jedediah.
Jeremiah. Is that? I'm guessing it's a biblical name, right?
Yeah. I'm saying it in English because I know the Spanish version. I don't. No, the English version, Jedediah. I googled it and it says friend of God.
Oh, what? All right, let me see. Where is in the Bible? In the Bible, I'm googling it. All right, Bible. It's on. Oh, I do you know the verse where you found it, or you just Google it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Second Samuel. I found something. 2 Samuel 12:25. Let's see. 2 Samuel 12:25. Anyway, so it means friend of God.
Yeah, I googled.
All right. Samuel 12:25. All right, I'm googling it right now. All right, let's see. Yes, it is. It is there. I wonder how we would pronounce this in Spanish, but look right here. It says Nathan the prophet. They should name him Jedediah, which means beloved. Beloved of the Lord. Well, you know, I think that's even like better, right? Not just a friend, but you know, beloved of the Lord. Well, that's a nice name. Yeah. All right, guys, you cannot copy that name. Yvette, you can copy that name, and Becky, you can copy that name. That name is already taken. All right. Well, let's see. I'm curious. I'm gonna change this to Spanish, and then we're gonna ask Yvette or anybody. I guess it doesn't matter. But I was thinking about Yvette because, she's in Mexico, so she probably could tell us how would you pronounce this name, Yvette.
Ok, Gedirías.
Gedirías.
Sí, es un... Ok, no lo había escuchado. El nombre no, creo que es único,
No,
eso es bien.
no te puedes robar ese nombre, ¿eh? No, ya no se puede. Ya está
Ok.
tomado. Rebeca ya... Okay?
Okay.
All right, that's a good name. All right, anybody else who wants to share the name of their child? If you guys
Yes.
thought about it? Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
I was
Okay.
thinking
Go ahead.
Lucas or Luca, but I think, I don't know, it's more, maybe Luca, only Luca.
Well, I mean, Lucas is a Bible biblical name, right? It's the name of a gospel. Luke in English,
Exactly.
Lucas. I guess in French or in Italian maybe it's without an S.
Luca.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's a really nice name. All right. Let's
Thank
see.
you.
Let's see. I don't know if you want to participate. It's fine. Becky, have you thought about the name of your child?
Yeah.
You did. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, Armando said, we said if it's a boy, the name would be Josiah.
Oh, I thought it was Armando the Third.
No. No.
You're like
No way. And then if it's a girl, he wants to give either his mom or his grandma's name. So either Sarah or Treva.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those are really like unique names. I've never heard of them before, and I don't think they're common names. So anyway, that shows you how. I mean, I don't remember ever thinking about the name of a child. I don't think I've ever thought about, all right, this is the way I'm gonna name it. Maybe I did think about it, but I guess I never came up with anything good. But you guys have great ideas. Anyway, so we cannot steal those ideas. Those are taken. All right. So anyway, so those are the names. Now, the name Naomi, I guess in Spanish will be Noemi, means pleasant. All right. So I'll text Naomi later, and I'll tell her that her name means pleasant, or both Naomis. So anyway, so that's the meaning behind the name. Now let's move on here. Let me see. Did I skip anything? All right. Now in 3 short verses, we'll read them right now. We read that Elimelech died after 10 years. So did Mahalo, or Malon, and Kilion. And anyway, this is what it says. Naomi was left without her 2 sons and her husband. So this is what it says. Let me see. Are we getting Zoom bomb? No. Okay. Are we getting Zoom bomb? No, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna Zoom bomb us. All right. Anyway,
Kick him out. I'm just kidding.
let me put him in the room. Anyway,
In
you
the
know
break
what?
room.
I gotta tell you this. He invited me to eat pastrami burgers, and I refused because I was busy and I was doing other things. So and I didn't. Oh look, he's bombing us. So let me ask him quickly. Anthony, did you guys go eat hamburgers?
Yeah, we did.
Where did you guys go?
Oh wait, did we?
You guys don't remember.
I think we ate something else. I forgot, but we did go.
All right, you ate something, but you don't remember.
You had ramen.
Now, who? Oh, ramen. Okay.
Oh, that's yeah, right. We had ramen.
All right. Here's the question: who is down to eat a pastrami burger from the Hat? I heard that they're good. I don't usually eat pastrami, but who's down for that?
Me. I heard they're good too.
They're good. Yeah, we should go, or we should deliver. Because I know Richie's is gonna say no, I don't want to go because I have too much homework. So we can go, and since it's close to her house, we can drop off a hamburger. Do you like pastrami, Richie's?
I'm not sure.
No.
I'll
Okay,
try it though. I'll try it.
Okay, all right. Well, she's open to trying. All right, and of course, Becky, she's gonna have to get one because Armando's going with us. Or, well, you have to give Armando permission to go.
He can go.
And then Yvette, who is in Mexico, she can go eat tlayudas. Do you know what that is? No? Yes? Let me tell you what tlayuda is. This is from Oaxaca. And they sell this, of course, in Los Angeles, but this is what a tlayuda is. Look. That's how they look. And Yvette could eat one of these. This is probably the size of a medium pizza. And I've seen Yvette eat one of these like entirely.
That's not true.
No, that's not true. But she eats like at least half of it. Half of it, is that okay? Is half good, Yvette?
Yes.
Okay, so she eats half of it, all right? And I eat the other half. Anyway.
Are they like enchiladas, but with beans on top, or what is it?
No, this is like a tostada, because the tortilla, it's like a huge, like really large tortilla, and it's like crunchy. Can you help me describe it, Yvette? I don't know if I'm putting you in a bad position here, but
yes, that is correct. It's a big tortilla with beans and salt and with cheese. With Oaxaca cheese is a kind of special
it's,
cheese with
quesillo.
meat, a sauce, quesillo. Yes, exactly. But it's so good. Yeah, I'm hungry.
Anyway, I put quesillo and this is what came out. I don't know why. Sorry, we're getting sidetracked. Here we go. Now, next time I go to Mexico, I promise to give you guys some quesillo. You know what? Last time I went to Mexico, I gave some to Oli. Yes, I did give some to Oli. So I think Rachis has tried it.
Yes, I have.
Yes. All right. So that's a side note. Sorry. Anyway, let's go back to the story. We're getting sidetracked here because we got Zoom bombed by Anthony. Anyway, so in the story, then they die. All right. Since Anthony came late, I'm gonna ask him. Anthony, could you read this verses 1, 2, 3, and 4? Can you read these verses for us, please, in English? You read better than I do, please. Can you see the screen? I hope you can.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. In the days when the judges ruled in Israel, a severe famine came upon the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah left his home and went to the country of Moab, taking his wife and 2 sons with him. The man's name was Eli, and his wife was Noemi. Their 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, they were Ephrathites from Bethlehem in the land of Judah, and when they reached Moab, they settled there.
Can you read the next paragraph?
Then Elimelech died, and Noemi was left with her 2 sons.
Just continue. Finish 4 and 5, please.
The two sons married Moabite women. One married a woman named Oprah. And
Oprah, yeah.
And
Oprah. What's her name? Winfrey. What's her name?
I just know her first name. I think she only has a first name, and it's Oprah.
Anyway, sorry, I gotta contextualize this because otherwise you won't understand. So Oprah, she's a famous celebrity. Winfrey, that's her name. So anyway, so this is Oprah Winfrey, and anyway, she has like a talk show, and anyway, she's just kind of a famous person. But I don't think
very
that's...
scandalous talk show.
Yeah, yes. So I guess she interviewed the king, right? The king of England, or the prince of England, right? That was her latest interview. Anyway, so sorry, we got sidetracked. So Oprah, you were reading here.
And
Oprah,
and the other woman named Ruth. About 10 years later, both Mahlon and Chilion died. This left Noemi alone with her 2 sons or her husband.
all right. So in like I said, in
Without.
3 or well, I guess in 5 verses. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, because I said with, but it was without.
Oh, okay. All right. So, in a few verses, then we read that the family pretty much dies, right? The husband, like all the men in the family died. All right. So let's talk about what that means. The cultural backdrop in the cultural world. In the cultural world during the times of the Old Testament, women were valued only by the connection to a man. What? Unmarried women derive their value from their fathers, and married women from their husbands. Their security and safety depended on the husband's ability to provide for them. When a married woman lost her husband, as Naomi did, her value declined steeply, and her safety and security depended on her sons. When Naomi lost her sons as well, she became destitute. Now she was on a social level below servants. What? Making matters worse, she was a foreigner in a kingdom other than her own, one of the lowliest of the low. Wow. So this is just to help us understand. All right. So in biblical times, women, what I understood from here is women were valued by the connection they have to their men. And if the husband died, then the children, the male children would take care of the women. But in this case, everybody died, and then she was in a different country, so she was at the very lowest point of in the social ladder. All right. So anyway, hopefully that helps us understand. Now, thank God that has changed. That has. Now we don't live in that society anymore. We live in the United States. It's the year 2021, and of course, women are not valued by the connection they have to their husbands. But anyway, this is the way it was back in biblical times when this was taking place. Now let's make a comparison. All right. So this is Naomi's reaction when her husband died. Let's see. Sorry, why is this? Sorry, I don't know why there's an advertisement for Pepto-Bismol here. I'm sorry. I swear I never Googled this. Oh, sorry. Wait, let me close this advertisement. Well, I guess it's better than other type of advertisement, right? All right. Here's what it says in verse 13. It says, look, let's read this. Now, what happens in the story, and I hope you guys read the story, is that she decides to go back to her country. But this is what she said. You wait here for... Anyway, let's see. Things are far more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord himself has raised his fist against me. So this is what she's saying. So in the midst of all of these things that she's going through, this is what she says. And I think we can relate to Naomi's story, because we've all gone through like different trials, tribulations, car accidents. The other day, Anthony told me that they stole the carburetor from his car. And how much money did that cost you, Anthony? Like $1,000. So they pretty much stole him $1,000 from his car. And anyway, so we've all been through trials, tribulations. My dad was sick. He almost died of COVID. Anyway, there's all kinds of tribulations and trials that maybe ourselves or our families have gone through. Now, this was Naomi's response, and I wanted to compare it. Naomi's response with Job's response. So this is what she said: "The Lord has turned against me." That's what she said. But this is what Job said. And he said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." So these are two different responses, right? Naomi, she's saying, well, I'm bitter. The Lord has done this, and now I'm like, I lost everything. And on the other hand, Job is saying, you know what? I lost everything, but blessed be the name of the Lord. So I wanted to ask you guys a question, and you guys don't have to respond. This is like an open question. If you want to respond, it's fine, but you don't have to. I want you to at least think about it. What do you do when you are in a tough situation, in difficult times? So what do you do in the middle of a crisis? I'm gonna put the the question in the chat. Like, and what I mean by that is, how do you respond? Do you blame God for what happened? Do you say, you know, God, you are making my life more difficult? Or are you like Job that says, you know what, I lost everything, but I'm gonna still believe in God? And I guess it's normal because we're reading this in the Bible. So don't feel bad if you act like Naomi. I think most of us, and I'm gonna confess here, we felt this way at many times. Like, honestly, when I went through to difficult times in my life, I felt like, you know, God, you did this. You turned your hand against me, your fist against me. Why is this happening to me? Why? I felt that way, and when I pray, I would say those things. So I've been in this situation, and I wish I had acted like Job, but you know, sometimes we don't have the faith. But anyway, just a comparison. So I hope that next time you guys go through trials, tribulations, you guys respond like Job and you don't respond like Naomi. Now, let me ask you a question. Whose fault was it that she lost her husband and her 2 sons? Like, who do you think was responsible for Naomi's problems? Like, if you had to blame somebody, who would you blame for the problems? What do you think? All right, I'm giving you time to think, okay? Let's do this. Do you think, let's do like a multiple choice, all right? I'm gonna put it on the chat. So do you think A, was it Elimelech, who was the husband? Do you think it was his fault? Do you think it was Naomi's fault? Do you think it was the children's fault? Their names were Mahalon and Kil. What was his name? Let me see, because I forgot his name.
Kilion.
Okay, Kilion. Was it God? Was it none of the above? Like, who would you vote for? Do you think it was any of those, or maybe none of the above? And maybe you're thinking about something else. Who do you think was responsible for the tragedy that came upon Naomi? And you can say whatever you want, because this is an open-ended question, so everything is right. Whatever you say is fine. What do you think? Let me see, what time is it? Oh yeah, we have a few minutes left. We have 1 more minute. Please vote. What do you think? Oh, okay. So Anthony says E, none of the above. Rebecca said it was A. I don't know if you want to participate. Yvette says E, and Becky says E as well. Okay, so most of us think it's E. No, I guess it's yeah, 3 against 1. All right, so most of you guys think it was nobody. Now I think let's. I don't know if you want to say why do you think it was the husband's fault, Becky? And I guess it's fine if you don't want to say anything, but I would appreciate it if you do.
It's me, Armando.
It's Armando. Armando's getting in the middle of the conversation. Okay, so
I'm not a girl.
I'm sorry. So what do you think, Armando?
I think it's Elimelech.
You think it's his fault?
Because he moved his family out there, resulting in his sons marrying those heathens.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think we could. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer here, right? So because the Bible doesn't say who was responsible, but I guess we could say, yeah, it was his fault. He was the head of the house, and he decided to move away from God. It's like he was living in Israel in the house of bread, and he just left. So it could have been his fault. On the other hand, we could also say what you guys are saying, that it was nobody's. It's just a circumstance, a problem that happens, and sometimes nobody is responsible for a problem. Sometimes things just happen, and we don't have to necessarily blame anybody. So I guess you could argue either way. All right, we're almost done because we're running out of time here. All right, so let's move on. Now let's talk about the daughters-in-law. So Naomi had two daughters-in-law, Ruth and Oprah. And Orpah. I guess it's Orpah. But let's call her Oprah because it sounds better. So Oprah. Although the text never states it, Ruth and Oprah do not or cannot have children. 10 years of marriage, Naomi's sons did not produce children for either women. So the Bible doesn't say why, but we know that they didn't have any kids, and we don't know why. Anyway, by cultural tradition, both women were attached to Naomi, their mother-in-law, to share her fate. Naomi graciously releases them from their cultural duty and encourages them to go back to their mothers to at least have the possibility of the future. All right, so Naomi has two daughters. They don't have children, so culturally they have to stay with their mother-in-law. But as we saw in a previous slide, she's at the bottom of the social ladder, and she says, you know what, girls, I'm not gonna do this to you. I'm not gonna ruin your lives. You guys can go. And this is what the Bible says. Oprah Winfrey decides to go back. Ruth decides to stay with her mother-in-law. It is a courageous decision, and one that comes from a deep love, commitment, and loyalty to Naomi. Ruth leaves her home, her identity, her possibility of a favorable future, and joins Naomi in what could be a future filled with more suffering. So anyway, now we're beginning to see the character of Ruth, and she was committed. She was she was in love, with her mother-in-law, and she just decides to leave her country and go back to Israel. All right, we're almost done. I'm gonna move on quickly. Since Armando's here and he likes to participate, could you read Ruth 16 and 17? I have it here on the PowerPoint.
Yeah, it says, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me."
All right, so this is what the commitment that she makes to her mother-in-law. So you could see how she was very committed. Anyway, life for Ruth in Bethlehem would not be easier. She was a female, a foreigner, childless, and widowed. Yet her commitment was firm and exemplary. She took it upon herself to take care of her sorrowful mother-in-law. Wow, what a great character. What a great woman. She was courageous, brave, committed. She said, you know what, I'm going to take care of this old lady myself. Wow, we don't know how old she was. Can you guys make any guess? How old do you think Ruth was? We don't know, so we can just guesstimate. What do you think?
30.
She was 30. Okay, yeah. Well, let's say, you know what? We know she was married for 10 years, right? Let's count. Let's do some math here. Sorry, I'm a math teacher. We know that she was married for 10 years, right? Anyway, we read it somewhere. I can't find it right now, and I don't want to waste time. She was married for 10 years, so she was now. Anthony said 145. Yvette said 29. Okay, so. Now, back on those days, women married young. Ibed, she knows more about cultures. So, Ibed, in Oaxaca, in Mexico, how young do women or girls get married? Let's see. She's oh yeah, she's there.
Yes,
Okay.
in different small town with 15 years, 14 years. Yes, the girls got married.
Wow, and like in a small town, 14, 15 years old, they get married.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so assuming Ruth got married maybe at, let's say 15, let's say 20, right? She was old and she was 20, and she was married for 10 years, so she was about 29, 27, 20, I guess between 25 and 30. I'm gonna make a guess. So that's just a guesstimate. We don't really know. But anyway, she wasn't that old. Anyway, so now this is the last slide here. Yes. So now now what does Naomi do? She changes her name. She's now Mara, which means bitter. So in Ruth 121, anyway, she says that she's gonna change her name because she feels like she's bitter. Oh, let me see. What is this? Oh, I thought you meant Oprah. Oh, okay. Okay, Anthony, man, he's just making jokes. So what Anthony's saying is he thought I was talking about Oprah Winfrey. No, let's see how old she is. How old is Oprah Winfrey? Oh, she's 67. Look, wow, she's old. Anyway, so no, we were talking about Ruth from the Bible. All right, so we're just getting into the story of Ruth. I suggest that you guys read it yourselves if you've never read it. It's a short story. I mean, if you have your own Bible plans, that's fine. Just continue with your own Bible plans. We'll study the book of Ruth. But like I said, it's a pretty short book, so I recommend that you read it. So we're seeing what is going on now. What do we learn from this story so far? I'm gonna let you guys speak. So, did you learn anything? What can you take away from the story that we talked about today? And Armando, you can share if you want to.
I would say the value of commitment.
Okay. All right. The value of commitment. All right. Perfect. Also, what I learned is that, a tragedy can come at any point in our lives, right? Everything could be going pretty well. Like, there's this family, the husband, the wife, they have 2 kids, and everything seems to be going pretty well. And then tragedy happens. So, this happened to people in the Bible. So if that ever happens, I think we just have to continue to trust in the Lord, that the Lord is going to take care of us. Like Naomi, I don't know how old she was. Let's say she was 40, 50, 60 years old. But God took care of her, right? There was somebody there to take care of Naomi. So I think that speaks of the kind of God that we have. Even though Naomi, she was bitter towards God, she was saying, what? Don't call me Naomi anymore. Now call me Mara, which means bitter. And she even admits it. But God is faithful, and he takes care of her. And in the next chapters, we'll see how her life is going to be changed. Anyway, so we see that. Also, we see that culturally, women were exploited. Women, had value because of their husbands. We don't live in that society anymore. But I think it's important to point out that this story is in the Bible. So this story was written 2,000, 3,000, more like 2,000 years ago was when Jesus was born. So I'm gonna say 3,000 years ago, this story was written, and the Bible decides to use a woman as the protagonist in the story. So I don't think the Bible is chauvinistic. The Bible is showing us the contributions, the character of women, and they are, in a way, they're putting women in a higher position, right? So anyway, I do learn those things. Anybody want to say something else before we finish? No? Yes. Oh, look, Anthony said, the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. All right. Yes. All right. Yeah, that's a good story. All right. Any other questions or comments before we finish? We'll continue with the story of Ruth next week, okay? So no questions, no comments? All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. We'll be praying for you. Let's just go around. I'm gonna stop the live.